All right, everybody. Well, it is the top of the hour. And so today is going to be a fun day for you all that are joining us. Again, thank you so much for those of you who have joined us this evening from close to town, close to campus, or all the way across the country. We really do appreciate your time, and we appreciate you joining us for one of our favorite webinars to host each and every year, and that's our Student Takeover. For those of you who maybe have some background with Montana State University, you know as early and as often as possible, we really like to highlight and showcase what our students do and who they are and what they're involved with here at Montana State University. And tonight is just an example of that. Tonight's the Student Takeover webinar where we put the steering wheel in the hands of our student ambassadors that we're lucky enough to work with here in the Office of Admissions at Montana State to talk about what their experiences are, and whether that's living on campus or getting involved with Bobcat athletics, research opportunities, or life in the classroom. There is so many different aspects that make Montana State University the healthy and happy place that it is for the students that get to call this place home for the several years that they're here. And tonight you're going to hear from 5 student ambassadors that are engaged in various aspects of campus. We're so fortunate at Montana State that we have students that are involved in each of our 8 different academic colleges. We have students that work with residence life and student government and the radio station and clubs and organizations. And tonight we want to kind of pull back the curtains and give you a little bit of insight into what it's really like to be a student here at Montana State University each and every day. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope that you get out of this as much as we do each and every year that we host this event. So now, with that being said, I want to give myself just a real quick introduction. My name's Anders Groseth, and if you haven't had the opportunity to cross paths with me, or more specifically, if I haven't had the opportunity to cross paths with you, I get to work as our Associate Director for Recruitment and Recruitment Services here at Montana State. I have the best job on campus because I get to engage with so many of you that are navigating this college search and decision process and kind of help out wherever I can for you all. But on the backside of that search and decision process, I get to work with our current students each and every day. You can see there on the screen a little bit about my background with Montana State University. I'm born and raised here in Bozeman, Montana, grew up just a couple of blocks from campus. And then this is where I ended up coming to school. You can see some of the things on the screen there that I was involved with when I was a student here. I was one of our tour guides and a student orientation leader, involved in fraternity and sorority life and a whole lot else. But this is the place that ended up checking the most boxes for me when I was in your position of trying to find the school, the college, the university that made the most sense for me. And it just ended up being a couple blocks away from home. And you're going to hear from some of our students here this evening that they come from all over the country, all across our great state, and they kind of really make the community and the culture what it is here at MSU. And it's hopefully going to be a culture that kind of resonates with you, and you can see yourself in blue and gold here, whether it's this upcoming fall or down the line. So with that, I want to have each of our, oh wait, before I get into that, we have some technical slides first and foremost. If you've been sitting on your screen and you're watching my lips move, but you're not hearing anything, if you're having any sort of audio issues, we do have some alternative routes that you can use to get logged in this evening to hear what our students are saying. So you'll see 2 different phone numbers up there. There's a toll line or a toll-free line, and then as well as an access code. And so you can follow along on your screen if you're not hearing any sound come out of your speakers. But if you can do that, or if you can't do that, I should say, we also record each and every webinar that we host throughout the year. You see that URL there at the very bottom of the screen. We post each of our webinars that we've hosted throughout the year because we want this to be a renewable source of information for you. And so going back all the way to the fall, we do a session called MSU Basics that talks about scholarship opportunities and degree programs. We host one with our offices of financial aid and education that talks about paying for school, living on campus, your new student orientation programming. And so whether you want to go back and reference tonight's webinar because something that you hear kind of catches your ear and you want to hear more about it, or if you've missed one of our sessions throughout the year so far, you can go to that URL and you can get caught up to speed on everything that we've covered through this Webinar Wednesday series. So the other technical side of things that I'm going to ask a favor of each and every one of you is on your WebEx screen. If you look down towards the bottom right-hand side of your screen right now, you'll see these different icons that are down in that bottom right-hand corner, including the apps and then eventually the Slido app. that's how we're going to engage with you with Q&A. I'm really lucky. In addition to our wonderful students, we have fabulous admissions counselors. We have our friend Emily here, who's one of our admissions counselors. She's here in the office tonight. And then we have Charlie, who's actually joining us from the road. She's out on the recruitment trail right now, engaging with students across Montana. And she's here to help answer questions that you all might have. And so throughout the evening tonight, if one of our students says something that you want to hear a little bit more about, or if something just piques your interest, you can use this Slido app in the Q&A, and that will allow us to answer your questions either in live time in that Q&A, or for some of our more prevalent questions, we have a running list of questions that we're going to leave time for our students to answer at the end of things this evening. And so if you wouldn't mind, go down, find that apps icon, and then choose Slido, and then you'll see that Q&A feature. And Emily is there to help kind of manage those, and then Emily and Charlie will be there to help answer those questions in a timely fashion throughout tonight's session. So I appreciate you doing that. Thanks so much. Okay, now for the real stars of the show, there are students. And so for our students that are joining, whether you're at home or here in the office tonight, I'm gonna ask that you all turn on your cameras. And then I just want you to get to know these folks just real briefly. So they're gonna go down the line here, introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about who they are, where they're from, what they're studying here at Montana State. And then they each have kind of a featurette that they want to focus on some different aspects of their university experience. And so with that, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to mute myself here for the next little while. And first things first, I'm going to hand it off to Katie, who's going to introduce herself. Katie, have at it.
All right, hi everybody. My name's Katie. I'm from Park City, Montana. I'm currently a senior studying agriculture communications. And some of the stuff I've been involved in on campus includes being in Sigma Alpha sorority, being a Hilleman Scholar, a financial peer mentor at the Office of Financial Education, and I'm also currently an intern at the MSU Extension Communications Office.
All right. Hi, guys. My name's Grace Gibson, and I am from Northeastern Colorado. I'm also in the College of Ag. I'm studying agriculture education, so I'll be student teaching next fall. During my time at MSU, I've been involved in the Honors College, along with spending a big majority of my time here in the admissions office. So good chances if you've called here, you may have talked to me. I work phones up at the front, and then I also do ambassadors along with tour guides as well. So it's been a really great time here, and I'm so excited that you are all interested. And yeah, hope to answer all your questions here tonight.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josh. I'm from a small town, northern lower Michigan. If you're looking at the mitten, I'm on the middle knuckle. I'm a senior. I'm studying finance and accounting. It's my fourth year here. I've kind of similar to Grace, I've worked in the Office of Admissions in pretty much every regard. So I've been a student worker, I've been a tour guide, help run the orientation program, and I'm also a student ambassador. So yeah, looking forward to getting to know you guys and hopefully answering some questions.
Hey everybody, I'm Micah. I am a senior here as well. I've studied sociology with an emphasis of criminology. I come from Peoria, Arizona, the northwest part of Phoenix here. So this thankfully has been my foreign exchange program for the last 4 years, which is fantastic. Love it here, decided to stay here for quite a while. I've been part of the admissions here for a couple of years now. Started working for housing when I first moved here. And I've gotten the privilege also to teach the bowling class, which I enjoy very, very much. So look forward to answering a lot of questions, helping y'all out with anything that might be needed.
All right, hi guys, I'm Reagan. I'm from Livingston, Montana, so I didn't move very far away from home for school. I'm also a senior. I'm studying cell biology and neuroscience with a minor in biochemistry. I'm a first generation student here on campus, so I've kind of worked my way through 4 years of college without any support. I'm also in the Honors College here on campus, and I've been a part of the Office of Admissions for about three and a half years now. So we're super happy you guys are all here, and we're here to answer any questions you need.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much for giving us that rundown. And so for those of you joining us tonight, I mentioned that in addition to just general introductions, each of these students have kind of selected a featurette that they wanted to talk about with their university experience. And so we are going to start with Katie, who's going to talk a little bit about Bozeman life. And Katie, you just give me the high sign when you want me to switch slides.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about just my favorite parts of Bozeman, kind of what I do. If you want to go on to the next slide.
Yeah.
One thing for sure is Montana State has really great skiing in this area, and we really make sure that our prospective students know that. But something that I was looking for when I came to Montana State is I'm not a huge skier, so I was looking for some activities that aren't skiing. Luckily, there's plenty of other things to do as well. One of my favorite places just around town to go to is Highlight Reservoir. If you look up in the right corner there, you'll see the mountains in Highlight. It's about like a 30-minute drive from campus, and it's so beautiful. There's so much accessible hiking from there. There's really long hikes. There's really short, like 20-minute hikes. You can drive up to the spot that I was at here in this picture. So that's one of my favorite places to go to if I'm trying to get outdoors. That hiking picture there is at Highlight as well. That one's like a 20-minute hike. Super easy. It's really fun to do. I think a lot of people do that their first weekend of freshman year with all their new friends. So it's really exciting. Some of my other favorite things to do around Bozeman is I love Bozeman in the summer. You can see most of these activities are summer activities because that's when I'm really out and about. But I really enjoy floating the Madison River, which is like probably like a 40-minute drive from campus. The water isn't super deep, and it's just a really fun time to get in there and float with all your friends. Another thing I really like to do is flower picking slash farm to table activities throughout Bozeman. We are in Montana, very agriculture around Bozeman. So there's a lot of opportunities to go pick some flowers or have like a farm to table dinner out at Bodie Farms if that's something you're interested in. So those are really fun activities. Another really fun one I like to do is activities in downtown Bozeman. So Music on Main and the Christmas Stroll are on here. There's a lot of community events that I just really like to attend that are free, and it really helps bring like students in the community together. So Music on Main is definitely one of my favorites. It's every Thursday in the summer. I get to go out Main Street, listen to a band for totally free, get to hang out with a lot of really cool people. And sometimes those bands get kind of famous and you get to go see them like in concert somewhere else. And I just thought that was really cool to get to see them for free first. But yeah, that's just some of my favorite activities to do. Go on to the next slide. The vibes in Bozeman are also super great. Coming from more like Eastern Montana, moving to Bozeman was definitely really exciting for me. It's definitely a different vibe. It's really fun. We have a really great community, like I was kind of talking about earlier. There's a lot of places and ways that you can be involved in the community, whether that's through volunteering. I personally volunteer at HRDC and get to be out in the community helping them. There's a lot of events, like I mentioned, in downtown Bozeman. And then Bobcat football also brings our community together. Grace will talk a little bit more about that later. Our weather here is very mild compared to other parts of Montana, I've noticed. I think there's more snow, but way less wind. So if you're from like a really windy part of Montana, like I was, it's really nice to move to Bozeman. I go back home and it's super windy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But the wind here, super mild. And then lastly is safety. I feel like Bozeman is a very safe community. I have probably gained some habits I probably shouldn't have moving to Bozeman. I leave my car unlocked and walk around in the dark, which probably not great habits, but I feel totally safe to be able to do that. Me and my friends will be walking around at night all the time, and it's never been an issue. And I think a lot of people have had a similar experience. But that's my experience with Bozeman. I'll pass it off to Micah to talk a little bit more about living on campus.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, since I've been both able to live on campus for a couple of years and been able to work with them, I'm hoping to be able to give you guys kind of the insight, what to bring, what to expect, and kind of hopefully answer maybe some of the deeper questions you might have. But as you're good to go on that one. Uh, for our hall options, we've got 12 very unique halls. You can have anything. Most of our rooms will be paired rooms, so doubles you and one other person. Sometimes you can get a triple room if you and a couple other friends don't want to excommunicate one of your friends out of the friend group too early here. Sometimes you can get lucky enough to get a single room. They're all really close to the dining halls, but really, no matter which one you pick, it is going to be a fantastic choice. They're all, again, very unique in the options that they have. They offer a lot of great amenities, and it's really fun to be around campus and be on campus. Sometimes you have a friend living in one, you go and visit, and they're just so much fun to be in. There are a couple single gender ones that we do have on campus, but most of our places and residency halls that we have are co-ed, whether that be by floor sometimes or just split the floor in half, one side male, one side female. As a really fun option to have still, to be able to have all of these people in one place. Get to make a lot of friends that way. Some of our floors also have this floor option of LLC, which you'll see. These are living learning communities. Sometimes you can get the option to live on a floor with a whole bunch of other students entering into your same major. So sometimes there's a lot of engineering students on a single floor. Sometimes there are a lot of art students on a single floor. It's very easy then to be able to make connections, have these people help you in and out with homework and stuff, and just be able to do that. If you guys do want some virtual walkthroughs, a lot of our students in previous years and the way they design their rooms, kind of have their rooms set up, you can go to the Instagram that's right here and be able to see kind of how different students set up their different rooms in these different halls. And it's usually good to go.
Before I switch slides, I do want to echo what Micah just said. I think that University Student Housing has one of the best social media accounts at Montana State. They do really good deep dives. They're fun, they're informative. So if you're looking for a new follower, just looking for some further information, I want to echo Micah on that. He and his peers have done a great job with that. So
absolutely, it's a lot of fun to be a part of that one. But being able to kind of pick where you want to live is always fun. If you've either already toured the university, kind of gotten the option to walk through a couple of our residency halls, or haven't, maybe you're just not able to really go based off of those Instagram posts and kind of what you like and feel about that. But you'll go to that housing portal. You can then sign up through there if you haven't already. Would suggest doing so decently quickly here. Again, you could sign up August 1st if you wanted to, and still get a place. It's no rush if you don't have the time to be able to do it. Basically, what you could go online, you go on, rank your top 5 options. These don't have to be 5 different residency halls, though. Sometimes they can be a single one and highlight, and then a double one and highlight, maybe a triple in Yellowstone, then North and South Hedges, stuff like that. Don't have to be all 5 different residency halls. Just rank them the top 5 that you kind of want. If you do have someone that you're coming in with, maybe another friend who you do want a room with, you can just go ahead and say at the bottom of this thing, hey, this person, I like this person. As long as both of you say you like each other, you will have a room together. It's very, very nice to be able to have that. The other way is to do it, just get a random roommate. That's what I did. I knew nobody when I was coming here. I still talk to my freshman year roommate every once in a while. We see each other on campus still. It's a great time. You're just going to fill out a big questionnaire. It's like 100 questions. Fill it out to the best of your ability, and we're going to do our best to match you with someone who's filled it out pretty much the same way that you have. I love my roommate. He was great. We were both big, tall, 6-foot dudes, and we fit in a bed room just as nice. So it was a great time. If you do have any questions about that, there's some numbers, phone numbers right here. We do have the location as well of where they are. The housing complex is on campus. If you want to stop by when you're here at some point, take a tour, or just send them an email. They're always a great resource to be able to use. They're always there. Ask them some questions. Very, very helpful in that regard. I think I got one more slide, but we're good to do that one. These are my things of what to bring. For beds and sheets, MSU will kind of send a pamphlet of maybe where to get some stuff, but all of our beds are twin XL. If you've got beds, sheets, stuff like that, bring some. I come from Arizona. I thought I was going to need a whole bunch of big, heavy blankets. I didn't. I probably kept my window open 90% of the year as well. It's a nice, cool way. But if you need some of those bigger layers, pack them up. Bring a dirty laundry bag as well. You don't want to be just carrying stuff in your hands around. It's kind of nice to still have that laundry bag around. And then shower caddy and shower shoes are something I didn't think and did not believe my mother when she told me I would need to bring those things. Definitely bring those to go to some of the showers on campus here. Just going down the hall. You don't want to carry all your stuff again, especially when you're wet after a shower. It's not nice. And then bring some shower shoes. We do keep our showers very clean, but it's still nice to have them. And don't be like me. And for the first 2 months you're here, shower in socks. It's not useful to shower in socks here.
I'm sorry, what?
I did. I showered for the first 2 months with socks on. Yeah. And then And then bring a whole bunch of hangers as well. We've got plenty of storage spaces for everything. Hang up all the stuff you're not going to use right now. Push it kind of aside, but bring enough hangers. Got a lot of space for all of that. But bring stuff like that. If you're coming from somewhere close, maybe you'll leave some of your winter stuff with your parents. But again, even if you're coming somewhere like me, Arizona, I brought all my winter stuff the first day I moved in, and just kind of stored it in the storage that we have in our rooms. So that is it for me. Again, I worked for housing. So Josh is kind of gonna speak a little bit more just for general working on campus. But it's a lot of fun to be able to work on campus.
Micah, can I ask you a real quick question? We're going to have time for
You
Q&A
can
at the end of
absolutely.
things too, but you mentioned something that's been a pretty big change for the student experience at MSU just in the last couple of years. You mentioned bringing a laundry basket. Can you talk about laundry services in the residence halls and kind of some of the
Oh,
new
yeah.
changes that have happened?
Absolutely. So, for my first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, it was $2 a load for both washing and then drying your clothes, which was not expensive by any means, but just kind of some extra cash that I could have had. But as of my sophomore year here, both a couple years ago, I guess now, they are all free. You have laundry machines in every residency hall. You don't have to go outside to do it. Sometimes it's on the first floor of your residency hall. Sometimes it's in the basement. Sometimes it's even on your floor. And it's really nice to have those. We have an abundance of options. There's plenty of space for everyone to do laundry. I think the longest I ever had to wait was like 20 minutes for someone to do stuff. So yeah, it's free now, which is phenomenal. I also moved off campus as soon as it turned free, but that's okay.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Josh, how about working on campus?
Yeah, I can't get past Micah showering in socks. I don't think we can be friends anymore.
I know that's good. That's haunting.
Yeah. So a little bit about working on and then also off campus. As a college student here, like I said, I've worked in the Office of Admissions in a variety of different ways. I also worked during my freshman year for culinary services in the concession stand. So I was at football games, basketball games, concerts, and different events. As a concession stand manager was the technical title for that. So yeah, all right, we'll take a look here. So a little bit of an overview, right? You might be sitting at home saying, "Hey Josh, how the heck do I find a job?" Right? I think this is a little bit of one of those intimidating things. Not only are you moving to a new place and starting kind of a new life, and as far as college goes, but then you're also trying to figure out maybe how do I make some money while I do that. I know I kind of had a tough time seeing the forest through the trees. There really are a lot of different opportunities for working on campus. So we'll start. They do an on-campus employment fair every semester, and what that is jobs and employers that are here on campus, like Chick-fil-A and Firehouse Subs and Culinary Services and student housing and everyone else, will come out and they'll set up a little booth, and you get to tour around there and check out the different working options that we have for that. The big note is that you are capped at 20 hours a week as a student, and that is campus wide. So if you have multiple positions, you're only allowed to work a total of 20 hours per week. The reason for that is that studies have shown that there's a positive correlation between hours worked and GPA up until about the 20-hour mark, and then it falls off. So kind of our way of protecting your experience as a student as well as an employee on campus is capping you at 20 hours a week. Some big highlights, obviously flexibility with schedules. All of the on-campus employers understand that you're a student first, and so they want to give you that opportunity of, if you get busy around finals week or you have a test that you need to study for and you need to call out for that reason, they're really good at working with you and adjusting your work schedule to fit your school and your campus schedule. We do also offer work-study options through the FAFSA. I would recommend filling that out. It's not required by any means, but that is a nice option for some of our students. You can see some of the different opportunities that we have. Student housing, that's where Micah worked in the residence halls. If you want to work at the front desk, if you want to work as an RA in any capacity through them, they do a really great job. Culinary services, like I said, if you want to work in the dining halls, if you want to work in the concession stands, if you want to work for Chick-fil-A here on campus, really great options through them. We just opened up this past fall our new Student Wellness Center. If you haven't got a chance to come to campus and check that out, I would think it's worth a trip to just take a look at our new wellness facility here on campus. But they hire a ton of students to man the rock wall and to help out at the front desk, and lifeguards for the pool. And so a lot of really incredible opportunities to work for them. You can work as a lab assistant, a TA. For different classes across campus. I have a couple of buddies who they'll take a class one semester, and then the next semester they work as a TA for it. And so you get to kind of get some student teaching experience and help out fellow classmates and peers and other students here at Montana State. ASMSU, that's Associated Students of Montana State University. That's our student government here on campus. We actually just closed our elections for the upcoming year for that group. So that's a really great way to get involved. If you have any involvement in student government in your high school, even if you don't, this is a really incredible opportunity to kind of help enact change on campus. And so they do a pretty awesome job. Event services, this kind of goes hand in hand with ASMSU. They run a whole bunch of different events throughout the year. But then in addition, our rodeo is happening very soon here. We'll have some concerts going on this summer. So these are kind of some one-off options for working those events. As a business major, I have to shout out Posted. So every year in the College of Business, we do a big idea challenge. They give away a ton of money for different entrepreneurial ideas. And Posted is an app that has one-off. It's kind of like Jobber, but it's for on-campus positions. And so as we go throughout the year and we need help shoveling snow in the stadium, they'll have different items on the Posted app, and you can actually sign up to work for a couple hours and make a 20, 40 bucks, whatever that looks like. So that's a really good opportunity if you don't want like a set in stone job, you just kind of want a as needed position. All right, the other big thing we're going to talk about is Allen Yarnell Center for Student Success. We abbreviate that as AYCSS. They run all the different kind of career-oriented services campus-wide. So they will run the off-campus career fair. They do two big career fairs one career fair each semester, so 2 per year, where they bring in employers nationally, locally to recruit students. And so they run all of that, and they run the build-up for that as well. So they do resume writing workshops. They do the business professional closet. What that is all students can come in and get a free professional outfit that are donated to them. And so you don't have to worry about buying a suit or buying a professional outfit for that. They also have career education coaches. They have financial coaches. So they don't just deal with career services. It's kind of like life services through them. This is my experience. So I work as an orientation leader there on the right. As a freshman, again, I worked in the concession stands. One time they were throwing out bags of popcorn. And so me and a buddy that I was working with, we were walking it to the dumpster. And on the way there, we're like, this is still good popcorn, right? And so I decided to take it home, and I biked back to my residence hall with it on my handlebars. I looked pretty funny. I got a lot of weird looks. And then that lived in our dorm room there that you can see. It was a shared popcorn bag, kind of gross. It lasted us the full semester until my roommate climbed down from his bed and stepped in it. And then we decided to throw it out at that point. But yeah, so this is just, off the job perks, I guess, some benefits of working on campus. And yeah, I think this is all I have. So I'm going to pass it over to Reagan to talk about research.
All right, I was kind of wondering where Josh was going to go with the popcorn, but I'm happy I finally know the answer. But other than that, I am going to talk about some research. So MSU has a lot of different opportunities for students to become hands-on in the classroom, and this can be kind of shown in a lot of different ways throughout different majors and different colleges here across campus. So Anders, if you want to move on. Here at MSU, we are an R1 research institution. So what does this mean for us as an institution and you as a student maybe coming to MSU? Well, that means that we are one of 187 institutions in the nation to receive a classification by the Carnegie Foundation, which means that we have very high research level, but we are one of 3 institutions that have like all 3 tiers of the Carnegie Foundation, Carnegie, why am I forgetting the word? Anyways, We have very high
Classification.
Thank you. We have very high research activity, very, very high undergraduate enrollment. Of our 17,000 students here on campus, about 15,000 of those students are all undergraduates. And all of our research opportunities here at Montana State University go back to the state of Montana or the community in some way, some shape or form. So that's pretty cool. Here at MSU, we have set a couple of different records for research expenditures over the last few years. Just this last year, we set a research record of $258 million spent here on campus just for undergraduate research. That's for anything in our research labs, personal projects that PhD students might be working on as well, and then any doctoral degrees that students might be working towards. So among also a lot of our students who are involved in research here on campus, we have a lot of accomplishments that we can show for our hard work here. And so we have 32 Goldwater Scholars, 18 Fulbright Scholars, 9 Truman, 5 Udall Scholars, 5 Schwartzman, and 3 Rhodes Scholars. And that list keeps growing every year. So like honestly, MSU is a great school if you're looking to get any undergraduate research experience or work on a PhD or a master's here. You can move on.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, that's backwards.
I went the wrong way.
So for you as a student, there are multiple ways that you can get involved in research across MSU's campus. Most of the time, students will turn to the undergraduate research program. This is more towards STEM students or students that are looking to get an internship based in research. And this is where you can go to all of these big events that we have across campus. Each year we hold an undergraduate research fair, and literally it's like a whole bunch of students presenting their research, and they're looking for new assistants in research and wanting students to come aboard on their team and grow the program. Most of the time, the PIs or the principal investigator will also be at these fairs, and if they're looking for a student that has great potential, they'll come up to you and personally ask you to be in their lab, which is super cool. I myself became involved in research by being referred by one of another student ambassador that we had here in our office last year. She has graduated since then and is now in vet school, but you can have other people that are in labs refer you to their PI or like to their professor they're working under, and that's a great way to get involved. Most of the time, a lot of my friends that have gotten involved in research have personally walked up to a professor, such as like the last one, asking a professor and saying, hey, I really love the way you teach this course, and I really love what you're doing as like your doctoral degree and just like research you do here on campus every day. Can I be involved in your lab? Which is a great way just to get involved, or just like ask a friend, hey, what lab are you in? Like, do they have openings or anything like that? So yeah, you can also go on. For a lot of students here on campus, you do not have to worry about finding a research core outside of your degree. Most of the time it will be built into your core throughout your 4 years. But for some students that are in the STEM majors, they require a few more extra research elective credits that they need to pursue or finish their degree here at MSU. And so a lot of these students will look for those outside opportunities. A lot of our paleontology majors will work with Museum of the Rockies. They'll participate in different dig sites across like the United States. Sometimes they'll even go to these dig sites with the actual paleontologists themselves and be able to figure out different research methods there and stuff. A lot of our kinesiology and mechanical engineering majors will work together in our neuromuscular biomechanics lab. And this is where they work with a lot of paraplegic skiers, and they work on different like scopes of like how skiing will work better for them and everything like that. And then we also have a lot of different NASA labs that currently on campus. NASA just gave us a very huge grant last year. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but the lab I worked in, they were working on a like urine. So basically like peeing into a system, like your urine gets turned into filtered water at some point on the space station. So that was super cool to kind of see how they were going through that. But my personal experience here on campus, I worked in a MRSA antibiotic resistant lab. We were one of like 4 labs to start with when I first started researching. And I basically did a whole bunch of these different assays of MRSA cross-trained with like different antibiotics. So we started like these petri dishes of the colonies of MRSA like being grown, and then we would take those small colonies and then we would cross them with different antibiotics, and we would see how much they would grow in a 24-hour incubation period, which was super cool to see. And it kind of set like the baseline for antibiotic resistance against MRSA and how that can be developed later on in medicine. And my researcher that I was under, she just gave her dissertation for her doctoral degree last week, so I'm really hoping that went well for her. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for the research portion of things. I'm gonna hand it off to Grace where she can talk about getting involved on campus in different ways besides academically.
Very cool.
Awesome, Reagan. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Research is definitely one of the things, if not the most unique part of MSU. So thank you so much. All right, so moving on to some athletics information. Yeah, definitely a great way to be involved in the MSU atmosphere. So, first things first, I wanted to talk about club sports and intramurals. This is something that I've been a big part of. Through my career here at MSU, I met some of my best friends playing volleyball during intramurals and everything. So it's just a really good time. But other than that, we do have some club sports if you would like to be involved in those. If maybe you want to still be on a team, that sort of thing, and travel around the nation or region, wherever that may be. We have things like skiing, baseball, hockey. There's a horse one, which is kind of cool. But all of that information can be found on the club sports directory on our website. It will just be under like the campus. I don't want to say rec, but it's around around there somewhere. Um, yeah, and then intramurals, as far as those go, there's only a few that I have listed here, but again, there's more that you can find under intramurals on our website. But cornhole was a really fun one. I actually got to ref basketball last fall, which was like quite the experience. It was a lot of fun though, and it was just really cool, like working with all of those people. And yeah, I don't know. Those games kind of got heated, but like in the best way. Like it was a lot of fun to see everyone's like competitiveness come out and not just like see them cheering at basketball games and stuff. Got to like see it on firsthand, like just how passionate some people are and everything. So, and I'm one of those people. So I'm saying this and I'm like, I'm also that way. Yeah, but no, it's a lot of fun and definitely just a really great way to meet friends. And then we have our outdoor recreation. So this is kind of a place where you can go to rent equipment. So like if you wanted to go on a camping trip for the weekend or something, but don't have a tent, you're able to go rent those at our outdoor recreation site, which is, I believe, still over by Roski, but correct. Okay, cool. Yep, still over by Roski, which is one of our dorms. It's kind of over by the outdoor soccer field and rugby fields there. If you are familiar with that, or if you're not, you will be. Anyway, but that's where you can find all that stuff. And it also has classes for bear protection or like avalanche classes, which I think is just super important coming to Montana. I'm from Colorado, but I'm from a really flat part of Colorado. So coming up here, I really did not have any experience with bears. And I ran into one on one of my hikes, which it was totally fine. I had my bear spray, like it was black bear, and that's the most common here anyway. Like they're pretty mellow. But I definitely looked into that after, and like it would be something very beneficial if you are a hiker or like to be in the mountains, hunting wise, any of that stuff too. So, and same with the avalanche. I think like if maybe you're a snowmobiler, that sort of thing, like this is a good class for you to take, or cross country skiing, whichever it may be. So,
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks. You can, yeah. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, now that we've kind of gone over sports for you guys and everything, we are a D1 school, so we have 15 NCAA sports, including football, basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, tennis, and skiing, and then there's a couple more in there, but these are just a few that we can go to. All these tickets are going to be free for you guys, which I'll talk about a little bit more on the next slide. But something cool about our D1 sports is Our football team just won the national championship last year. We've gone 2 years in a row. Last year we won, so it's super exciting. And these tickets are still free for us, which is just awesome. Like, I think it's such a great way to meet with people, connect with people. I know like all the tailgates and stuff before the games are super fun to go to, and like you'll even see someone's for like your colleges on campus and everything. I know the College of Ag has one there. So it's a really great way to network with people and just get connected in the community. And then also with our skiing, we just had a national championship. Her name's Justine. I don't know how to say her last name very well. Lamantang? I don't know. But she actually just became the most decorated skier in Bobcat history. I believe, yeah, it was Friday, March 13th at the NCAA Ski Championship in Utah. So super cool. We're definitely repping it up with that sort of thing. So awesome. Yeah, so I touched on the D1 sports teams, and that I forgot to talk about rodeo, which is crazy because our rodeo is this weekend, but that is our only one that tickets are not free to, just because they technically aren't D1. They're more, yeah, they're in the NIRA, which is kind of like a club association type deal, similar to it. Anyway, but yeah, so all tickets are free, excluding rodeo. And then I wanted to mention for football, you have to sign up a week in advance. Well, the Monday, yeah. Let me just read this off the screen so it's not confusing. But sign up for a ticket Monday at noon, the week of the game. Just because we do have limited seats. Our stadium for all of us yet. Power of yet. Definitely getting there, but they do kind of go quickly, so just be sure to be on that. But it's definitely a good time. And we do have different themes of games. This isn't just for football, but for volleyball and basketball as well. Brawl of the Wild is when we play University of Montana, so Grizzlies versus Bobcats, which in real life you're kind of thinking, ooh, what did the Grizzlies? No, the Bobcats won. The last few years I've been here anyway. So yeah, no, it's a really fun time and just kind of a good way to get that competitiveness out in the state of Montana anyway. So big event, and it's always just a really good time. And then we have Gold Rush, which happens your freshman year of or oh my gosh, what am I saying? It's the first week of school. Sorry. I'm thinking of your M photo. I don't know why. Anyway, but that is the first week of school and everyone's together. And as freshmen, you get a gold shirt to wear to it. So I still have mine from my freshman year, which is super fun. And I always wear it, and you can always tell who's in what class. So good time there. Homecoming, of course, we have our Ag and Military Appreciation Game, which I think is super cool, especially MSU being #1 veteran-friendly school in the nation. Super fun there. And then Packed Place in Pink is also another one. Yeah, but it's really fun. That's again for football, volleyball, basketball, really good time to go to those games. And then if you're not able to make it to those games, we are on the ESPN Plus network, and then the Montana, sorry, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, Montana Television Network, which is just our local deal here. So, but that is where we are listed on. So cool. That's all I have for you guys.
Hey, nice. Well, thank you to each and every one of you for highlighting these like various aspects of your own university experiences. So with that, for you all who have joined us from across the state and across the country, when you all had the opportunity to register for tonight's webinar, you had the opportunity to send in a couple of questions, and you had some really good ones. And that as our students were talking this evening, I kind of like highlighted a couple of things that I wanted a few of them to speak about. But before I get into the question and answer portion of our evening, if there was ever any question about how the culture and the community of Montana State University remains as strong as it is, you just heard from them. We just have incredible students, and our office is spoiled because we have students that are coming from the College of Ag and the College of Education, Health, and Human Development. We have future business leaders. We have people that are going to go on and work in law enforcement. So many different various aspects of our university experience is really encompassed here in the students that we get to work with. So I just want to give a shout out to these 5 graduating seniors that are going to all be saying goodbye to Montana State University within the next year, but just know that they've made this massive impact on our office and on our campus. So thank you to the 5 of you. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I'm going to ask all of our panelists to turn their cameras back on. And we're going to go through some kind of questions and answers. And Grace, when you were actually just talking, and actually this is something I'd be interested to hear from a couple of you, to be honest with you, but when you were just talking about that M photo, you mentioned it really briefly, but our campus is just built on traditions and history and kind of the repetitive nature that's the shared experience. Would each of you mind going down the line real quick and tell me just real briefly, what's your favorite tradition at Montana State University? Grace, we'll start with you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Funny you say that. Yeah, I really loved just the freshman week. I can't quite remember, what is it called? The MSU debut, right?
Yep.
That's kind of what
Yep.
it's called. That honestly is just, when looking back, like that was one of my most fond memories because I mean, it was the first time I really got to hang out with my roommate and I got to meet people on my floor and that sort of thing. And we all walked over to take the M photo together, and I'm still like super close friends with everyone that I met like that first week of school. And I think it's just because like when you're on that floor and everything, like you guys just get so tight, especially like if you're on a living learning community, that sort of thing. But yeah, I would say like going to the like the field, the stadium to take that, and President Cruzado at the time was our president. She was just at the front and everyone was getting together and stuff, and it was just like such an amazing energy, and I think that has really just run throughout like my whole MSU career.
Yeah.
Like it's just been really awesome, and yeah, that was definitely my fondest memory looking back.
Reagan, I'm going to go to you next, but for anyone joining us this evening who isn't familiar with this M photo that we keep referencing, look at the pictures above Reagan and above Micah. Those are 2 of our M photos. This is a big celebration to celebrate that first year class. So, but Reagan, what about you? What's your favorite tradition at Montana State?
There's so many to choose from. I think mine is more towards the end of fall semester, usually about 2 weeks before finals week every year. They do this big ceremony called Lighting Montana Hall, and they have like a whole bunch of like preschoolers and kindergartners from the area of Bozeman will come in. They'll sing Christmas carols and everything like that. And then basically they have like this massive light switch, and then like a big countdown happens, and they like turn on all these lights across campus, and Montana Hall just looks so beautiful. And then it like runs all the way down to Romney Hall. So it really shows like lightens your spirits and gets you ready for finals week, and just kind of shows the Christmas spirit and cheer around Bozeman. And then like that weekend is usually Christmas stroll. So it's like a really good pattern just to go to like Lighting Montana Hall and then Christmas stroll that weekend. But also they give out like I think this year they gave out chili, and they had like hot chocolate, apple cider. Usually they have a cotton candy machine at it as well. Yeah, it's a super fun event. If I had to choose one, I think that would be it.
Right on. Hey, Micah, you mentioned when you were doing your introduction that you came all the way up here. We're going to get off of traditions here real quick. You came all the way up from Arizona. Can you talk a little bit about that adjustment period of going from not just from high school to college? And Josh, I want you to follow up on this too. Not just high school to college, but like a totally different space of our country to Montana. Tell us about your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, being able to kind of have that job right in college and just getting to know people was very, very beneficial to me. But there is a slight temperature difference coming from Arizona. Going from 120 something to sometimes it's minus 20. I didn't think negative numbers in front of the temperature was real until I came here, but it is, I promise. It's actually been a really nice adjustment though, because even though there's a decent amount of snow that'll fall, a lot of days are still bright and sunny. And so the sun's beating down on it, it's still nice and warm. Um, and I'm wearing this, maybe a bigger jacket to walk into school, but as soon as I'm in classes, I'm just wearing a t-shirt and a light jacket. So it's been a very nice transitional period. I did go back spring break this couple of weeks ago to Arizona, and I will not be returning. It's way too hot there already. So I think going back, the transition might hurt a little bit more, but coming here was really easy. Probably the best decision I've ever made in that regard.
Very cool. Right on. Josh, how about you? You kind of came from east to west. Tell us about that experience for you.
Yeah. I didn't know anyone when I was moving out here. And so I was, randomly matched with my roommate, and I loved that whole experience. Micah kind of talked about that a little bit. Weather-wise, I think that Michigan, or at least where I'm at in Michigan and here in Bozeman, we get similar snowfall every year. The biggest thing is that it's a dry cold out here, and it's a dry heat. And so I think that was my biggest adjustment. I got like a nosebleed a week for the first month or so that I was out here. And so adjusting to that, not having that humidity that I grew up with and that I was used to was probably the biggest challenge. But, I guess with a grain of salt, it wasn't really a challenge either. It helps when you're not sticky in the summer. It's 90 degrees and you can still go outside and do stuff and enjoy the weather. And Micah mentioned -20. Like he said, though, if the sun's shining and the wind's not blowing, it's totally doable to go out and ski and enjoy the snow that we get here.
Cool. Katie, I made myself a little note when you were talking earlier, and I'm lucky enough that I just know you and I know where you're from and everything. But when you were showing that picture of Highlight, you said, I took this picture from right where I drove up to once I got up to Highlight. Can you talk about transportation in Bozeman and accessing places like Highlight, places like Bridger Bowl, if you either do or don't have a car? That was a question that we got a ton of from people who logged on tonight.
Yeah, so Bozeman has public transportation, which I don't think is super normal across the state of Montana. So it's really cool that we have that. So we have the Streamline bus service, which will take you all over town. It'll take you down to like Target, Walmart, Costco. Like you can get to all the stores you need to get to. It'll also go out to Livingston and Belgrade, I believe, as well. We also have an on-campus shuttle called the Cat Track Shuttle. And how that works is if you have to park like super far away or you live pretty close to campus, you can hop on that Cat Track shuttle and it'll bring you pretty much right up to your class, which is really nice, especially if you have to park pretty far away. Really saves you some walking time. To get up to our two ski resorts, Bridger Bowl, the closest one to campus, and then Big Sky, we have ski bus shuttles. They'll pick you up from the sub, bring you straight up to the lodge, which is also really nice. Bridger Bowl gets kind of hectic. The parking gets a little crazy up there, so it's really nice to just take the shuttle straight to the lodge and not have to worry about parking super far. The Bridger Bowl one is free, so you can just hop on that one, go up there, no worries. And then the Big Sky one, I think, is like $5 round trip, or pretty affordable for how far away Big Sky is. And that road gets like a little scary in the winter, so it's nice to ride the shuttle. And then like if you want to get up to Highlight, there's always someone that has a car. There's a lot of students from Montana that are going to have cars. Like make friends in your dorm. Like someone's going to have a car. You can ride up there together. A lot of people will like carpool. A lot of groups of friends will go up there. But that's my biggest piece of advice: is if you don't have a car, like make a friend that has a car if you want to go out and do those more outdoorsy trips.
Once upon a time, 100 years ago, I was that friend. Being from Bozeman, I didn't have any reason to tell people I couldn't take them to the airport. So lob on with one of us. So, and then Katie, I actually have a follow-up. But the other note that I mentioned, if you aren't super familiar with Montana State University, one of the things that we take a lot of pride on is really diversifying our support and service for students. And so, Katie, you mentioned that a program that you've been involved with is that Hillman Scholars Program. I know we got some folks joining us from Montana tonight. Do you want to plug the Hillman program and kind of explain what your experience has been?
Yeah, of course, I'll plug the Hillman program. I could talk about it all day. So I'm a Hillman Scholar. It's a scholarship program for Montana students, usually low-income students from the state of Montana. It's really great opportunity. It's a 4-year-long program. You come in, you get $4,000 a year. as your scholarship, which is like a huge, huge amount of money off of my tuition on top of my premier scholarship. I pretty much don't pay for school, which is really nice. How it works is you come in as a freshman and you do 5 weeks of Summer Success Academy, is what it's called. So you move here in July. Your housing's paid for the summer, as well as your food, so you don't have to worry about like any like housing costs or class costs throughout the summer. You do 3 credits of a seminar class and then 3 credits of a math class as well. So you're starting your freshman year just with 6 credits right off the bat. For just attending that program, you get $2,000. So the first week of SSA is what it's called. You get $1,000 check handed to you, and then the next, or at the end, you get another $1,000 put on your student bill. That's on top of the $4,000 you get just yearly, and so that totals to like $6,000 for just your freshman year. And then if you do well in the Summer Success Academy, if you have above a 3.0 GPA, you get an extra $500 on top of that. So that's $6,500 your freshman year. It's a pretty big chunk of change. You get to meet a lot of really cool people. One of the things they do is called Lessons in Leadership, and they have a lot of leaders throughout the state of Montana come in and talk with us every week. So I've met like the governor, I've met Jim Dolan. He's a pretty famous artist in the area. Just a lot of really cool connections that I've made. I've got to meet a lot of people, got to do a lot of networking, and my best friends are in the program with me. It's really great. If you're a senior right now, the application is open, so definitely go fill it out. Even if you think you don't qualify, like it still doesn't hurt to just fill it out really quick. And yeah, it's super awesome. I love it.
Very cool. Right on. And I'm actually going to use one word that you just said as our transition to our last question. Folks, again, I just want to say thank you a million times over for joining us this evening, but we do want to be respectful of your time. We know that we're knocking on the door of that 7 o'clock hour. And so we're going to log off after this last question. But Katie, you mentioned lessons in leadership. So for the 5 of you, you've had these varied experiences at Montana State, coming from in-state, coming from out of state, coming from big places and small places. What are some lessons? What are some bits of advice? What's a challenge that you've faced? But we have these future Bobcats that are on with us this evening. What's one bit of wisdom that you would impart on them in terms of maybe it's getting involved at Montana State University, that first hello, the transition that Micah talked about. I'm going to let you guys kind of have the stage on this to take it in any direction that you want. But for our next generation of Bobcats, what do you want to tell them? How about Grace? Let's start with you.
All right. Yeah. No, I think just coming into college, it can be so nerve-wracking. And I think personally for me, I just remember being like really, really shy. My freshman year, I came from a graduating class at 25, and this was like my huge step into, wow, there's this 17,000 people, which is still pretty small for a school, but it was really big for me. Anyway, but I think my biggest advice to you is just get involved the most you can. I literally came into the office of admissions and walked up to the front desk and asked for a job. And that job led to so many connections. I mean, I just have met so many people through it. Some of my really good friends and everything, but I think really just do your best to, you're your biggest, you're advocating for yourself once you get to school. Like it's no one else doing it for you. And I think that's really just the most important thing to remember. So yeah, just be yourself, be true to yourself, and advocate for yourself.
Nice. Josh, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I guess kind of similar to Grace. But I grew up in a small town. I had never been in a place this big, lived in a place this big. And so there's a million different things to do. And I think it's important to remember, especially when you first get to campus, that everyone's kind of in the same boat, right? No one really knows what they're doing. No one's super involved. No one has everything figured out. And so it's okay to also be in that boat. I think the times that I've struggled the most at MSU were the times that I wasn't involved in working on campus and doing different clubs and everything else. And so I don't think there's such thing as being too involved. And I think that you can always pull back if you've bitten off more than you can chew. But, I like to have my fingers in as many pies as possible,
Cool. Heck yeah. Reagan, the person who traveled the shortest distance to become a Bobcat. How about you?
Kind of similar to Grace and Josh. I came from a very, very small area of Montana. Like my graduating class was 13 kids. So that's very small coming to like a big class starting my freshman year here. But honestly, the way that I got involved the quickest in just becoming like in love with MSU was definitely the honors college. The class sizes were still on the smaller end of things, so they were like 15 to 18 students still. I still felt like I was in my small community and I made really good friends that way. And then I slowly got involved in other parts of campus, and one of that being the Office of Admissions that has really grown a lot of my like leadership roles and just like all the access that I have across campus with a lot of different people, kind of how Grace mentioned earlier, which is super cool. Most of like the biggest thing I would tell freshmen coming into school is never say no until you need to. Like always say yes to the opportunity of going with friends to somewhere new and exploring Montana. Always say yes to going to the football game. Like don't say no until you're too overwhelmed and you've taken on too much in your life and you can't handle much stress anymore. That I definitely hit that point like my sophomore year, and I definitely had to take a step back from a lot of things that I was doing on campus. But granted, I've always been involved in a lot of things, so you can't tell me no when to stop. Like never say no is what I have to say. So yeah.
Cool. Right on. Micah, what do you got for us?
Uh, don't focus so much on just finishing your major required kind of classes. There's so many fun, adventurous classes to take here that are just kind of like elective feeling classes. You don't have to have any knowledge of that major to go take the class. The two that I guess were my most favorite were photography. I loved being able to learn how to take proper pictures, and now I can go out in this beautiful state and take a lot of pictures just on my phone, and it's a great feeling. The other one was forensic anthropology. It's just a really fun class. I had no previous knowledge. I'm in it right now. It's just a fun class kind of wrap up my time here. But find something that just seems fun. Don't focus on all of your core classes all at once. Um, just scroll through all the classes that we have listed and just kind of see what sounds fun and go take it. Even if, maybe doesn't end up being something fun, just try. So
Lessons
there's a
learned.
lot of fun things.
Yeah, right on. All right, Katie, you started the night. Bring us home.
Okay, I think my biggest piece of advice is to take advantage of the free resources that MSU has to offer for the students. Josh mentioned the AYCSS earlier today. I'm very plugged into that center. I worked in the financial education office as a Hillman Scholar. We're very intertwined. And I'm also a first generation student, so they've just really been there to support me in any way that they can. A big thing recently is I just applied to grad school. They looked over my whole application. They read my letters, made sure everything was good to go. And I got in first try, so I was really excited about that. Financial education has been huge. Also, as a first generation student, I've been a little lost, so they really helped me, especially like making that very first tuition payment. It's kind of hard to navigate kind of by yourself, so like use those resources. Free tutoring is also available. Our academic centers, like go to those if you need them, and that's my piece of advice.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, from the bottom of my heart to the five of you, the folks that have joined us tonight, you gave us an hour, and that means the world to us. But these five students have given us 4 years. They made a big impact on each of us that gets to work with them every day, a big impact on our campus. And we can't wait for you to be that next generation of Bobcats that can do the exact same. Keep building this place, keep building the culture and the community that we have here, because it is something pretty special. And you can see that, you can hear that coming through with these students and their experiences. So I just want to say one last thank you to each and every one of you who has joined us from all across the country to hear from our students and let us shine a spotlight and a highlight on them. And thank you to the students that have joined us this evening. It means the world to us. And we'll look forward to keeping in touch with everybody. If you need anything from us whatsoever, you always know how to get in touch with the Office of Admissions. Mike or real person. He's going to email you probably tomorrow. But I promise you that we're here to help out. So as you're making that final push towards your college decision with residence halls and scholarships and orientation programming, let us be here for you. We were here for these students once upon a time. We'll be here in your corner as well. So look forward to keeping in touch with you. And until then, go Cats. Thanks, everybody.